It's another day, the sun is shining. Got to know what's going on around you. Wake up, it's the time to motivate your mind. Come with me, let's make this moment brighter. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Come on and wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Hey.
Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise on a brand new day. I'm Anastasia Palacios.
Good morning, I'm Philip Simon Starr. Listen, you're kicking it off right. You're right, it's a brand new day. I want to say this off the top, right? On Monday, I had on my Bahamian, this is what I call my Bahamian tie, right? You know, it's been trouble these last couple of weeks trying to figure out what to put on for the show. And I figure at the end of the day, you can't go wrong with the Bahamian flag, right? Because we all in this together. And of course, I shared with you some of the comments that came back relative to this flag. So today, I'm wearing white, right? It's a neutral color. We're going to call it a truce because at the end of the day, we got to put down all of our weapons and stop this attack because we're still one Bahamas. Congratulations to the Progressive Liberal Party. And of course, our new Prime Minister. We're going to hear and talk more about that in today's show. Philip Brave Davis.
Indeed, congratulations to all those persons who would have put in the effort. Certainly, before we go any further, I want to thank the outgoing Prime Minister. I don't know titles now, right? I think he's still the right honorable until Philip Davis is sworn in. That's something I've asked some of our guests this morning. But certainly acknowledging the work of the Minister administration the past 4.5 years. This was a team that came in and saw the country in a low point, right? At that point, we were right near junk status, et cetera, in terms of the economy. And then we immediately hit off the bat with hurricanes, rolled from one hurricane into the next, and then into a global pandemic. And I certainly make no excuses for them. As I would have said to my husband, when Sir Lyndon had to take over this country and bring it into majority rule, when they had to fight for independence, these were not easy tasks either. And so each of our prime ministers has faced his own challenges, this administration more freshly so. But they've done the very best I think that they can. I think every person going in, I would hope, is doing so. And so I want to really just thank him, Phil, thank him and his team for their leadership during a time of unprecedented crisis, and to acknowledge the work that they did. I think it's easy to say, get them out and vote them out and move on to the next one. When these people sacrifice themselves and their lives, their families give up a significant amount for them to lead our nation. And so even as I congratulate and celebrate the Progressive Liberal Party, as I celebrate and honor Philip Brave Davis, who has been committed to this journey for a very long time and who I am sure is thrilled this morning to be waking up to take on the mantle of leadership. I would like to salute our outgoing Prime Minister and his team and thank them for working as hard as they did to manage some things that none of us have ever seen before.
No doubt, not an easy job. I mean, the last couple of years, as you've said, unprecedented, not just in our country, but around the world. So again, to Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, Minister, and the entire team, there's a reason why I'm sitting on this show today with you. It's not something that I've aspired to. I choose my national development, a different route outside of politics. But again, I hope going forward that we can do it together. And it is truly a new day here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Yeah, and I know that we're going to have to go. Our producer's going to come to us soon and say it's time to move on. But on that note, though, I did see some negative statuses last night once the PLP results were coming in. And I really just want to take Bahamians to just stop for a second and to think about that. A lot of us feel about these groups, the FNM, the PLP, like we do maybe a football team or a basketball team, but this is not that. These are people that are driving national development and national policy. And so while I expect that some people are sad today that their team has taken a loss, that the people that they support are no longer in parliament, while I know that people's salaries might be affected as consultants, et cetera, and so I give pause for that, I really just want us to watch our words and our tone. At the end of the day, this is our nation, and we want each government coming in, whether we voted for them or not, to be successful, because the success of that government really reflects the success of the nation. And so to speak negatively or to hope for the worst for a country that is yours, I think you really ought to just step back and think about that, because we can't win that way. We as a nation can't move forward if our thought is let them fail. No, let them be excellent. Let them be their very best. And then in 5 years, you come and you be better if that is what the nation calls for. But really wish our government well, pray for our ministers, pray for our leader, and do your part as a citizen to show up in spaces where you are needed and to make the change, because it is united in love and service that we march on Bahama land in this new day.
We just don't have the time here this morning on Bahamas at Sunrise, but what we do have is another great show for you. We're continuing our Focus on Education series this morning, talking about virtual learning. Of course, we've been doing that for the past year and a half. We'll also talk to speakers from the upcoming Demystifying COVID webinar this coming Monday.
Looking forward to both of those segments. I'm also excited, as you can tell, to be talking election results 2021. We've got my good friend, Dr. Chris Curry, and we've also got Zhivargo Laing, and they'll be bringing you some great commentary on what happened last night, what we can expect to see over the next few weeks. In addition to that, we also had an interview with Albany Golf Pro, Keno Turnquest, about choosing the best golf clubs. And that was a really fun segment for me. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you all as well. Finally, Phil, there are 2 events coming up that we really want to encourage you to sign up for. This Monday, Doctors Hospital will be doing a demystifying COVID talk during a webinar with various community leaders, breaking down the facts about the disease and the vaccine. So we want you to sign up for that. We also want to invite you to our free Financial Voice webinar celebrating World Tourism Day, and that's going to be on Monday, September 27th. You can register for both of these things at tclevents.com.
But before we get to any of that, our main man, the G-Man, Godfrey Burnside, is going to give us our first look with weather at sunrise, post the rain and post the thunder. Godfrey.
Weather at sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us.
Thank you, Phil, and good morning, Bahamas. In your first look at the weather at sunrise, weak high pressure across the area, but we still have some streaming moisture that will trigger off a few showers and thunderstorms, mainly during the afternoon hours. Today, partly sunny, hot and humid, with a few showers, nightly thunderstorms, 1 or 2 become heavier at time. High temperature 91, heat index 104. Tonight, partly cloudy and warm with a few showers, maybe a nice little thunderstorm, low going down to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's some regional highs and lows across the Caribbean, Barbados, 1979. In Jamaica, 1977. In Trinidad, 1979. And the Turks and Caicos Islands, 91 and 75. Across North America, Atlanta, 78 and 69. In Raleigh, 83 and 70. In Miami, 1978. Dallas, Texas, 92 and 72. And Toronto, Canada, 78 and 66. As we go to the weekend, nice weekend, but by Sunday evening, we expect increasing cloudiness with some showers and thunderstorms through Tuesday. Start improvement by Wednesday. Low temperature daytime will be in the upper 80s to low 90s daytime, and at nighttime in the mid 70s. That puts you up in your first look of weather sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Star.
Thank you so much, Godfrey. Well, the elections from election 2021 results are in. And how did the snap election during a global pandemic play out? Well, we all know that now this morning they say it is a new day. And here to discuss it with us, we're very happy to welcome Zhivargo Laing. He, of course, is the Executive Director of Government and Public Policy Institute at UB and the former Minister of State for Finance. We've also got Dr. Chris Curry. He's an Associate History Professor at UB. And of course, he was one of the people significantly involved in the nation's first national debate series. And so we're very happy to have these two distinguished gentlemen share with us this morning. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning, and it's good to be here.
Yes, indeed, the same.
It is a pleasure to have you both with us. Mr. Laing, I'm going to get started with you. You, of course, have been affiliated with the Free National Movement in the past, over these past few years, really taking on more of a nationalistic role, and certainly laying out strategy, talking about the economy, and of course, your work with the university. What happened last night?
Well, first of all, let me say congratulations to the leader of the Progressive Labour Party and that party, and to commend all the players and participants in the election process for coming forward to serve. Simply put, far more people desired a different direction and leadership for the country than did not. And so that essentially is what happened. Now, we will have a number of analytical points to make about why that happened, but the essence of it is that people who voted in the majority decided they wanted a different direction, as some would say, a new day. And that's what they got. And I'm happy we did it in a manner that is reflective of our history, which was a civil and orderly manner. And my commendations to all the background players involved in organizing the election process.
Now, I hear you, Mr. Laing. Dr. Curry, I'm going to come to you now and just try to understand what mechanics goes into this, right? And I think that there are some people of the view, well, it doesn't matter. Every 5 years, we're just going to change up, right? There are some people with that mentality. But for me, yesterday, going to the polls, I noticed, and I've heard others comment on this, a significantly lower turnout. I am in Killarney, which is the former Prime Minister's current constituency. I remember in the previous election going to vote at this exact polling station, there just being more people out, seeing more F&M shirts out. Is it that people just did not get their voters out? Of course, we've not got the official results in yet, but based on what we were seeing last night, in some areas where with strong cabinet ministers, supposedly strong members of parliament, we just did not see, we saw smaller margins of percentages. The PLP may be taking 55% while they take 45, very tight races. Is it just that they did not get the base out? Is it the campaign? What went wrong for the Free National Movement and what went right for the PLP that led to those numbers being what they were last night?
Well, I believe that, first of all, the low voter turnout was in many ways an invisible vote for the PLP. I think it hurt the F&M ultimately because we see in the results a landslide. I also think that low voter turnout impacted the F&M negatively, particularly in very close races. I was looking at Mount Moriah, for example, which was a very close race. And if you had looked at the third parties or some of the smaller groups that actually made some inroads. I was thinking of Cornel Farquharson and the COI candidate who, though they didn't poll that much significantly, I think it was like 7% and 2% or something like that. That was actually the difference between Dames and the person who was actually elected in Mount Moriah for the PLP. So what I'm trying to say, though, is ultimately, I think that the former Prime Minister now, Hubert Minnis, was banking on calling a snap election being beneficial to his party, but it backfired. And I think it says something about the acrimony that Bahamian people had towards him. In fact, I would argue that people were more angry at Minnis than they were at Christie in the last lap. And they took it out sort of on him in this election and the results that we see from last night.
Oh, Dr. Curry, I wish we had some more time just to hear you explain that one, because the people were certainly angry at Christie last time. And that's going to be interesting. I'm sure that I can see something coming from you in written form on that in short order. And so we'll wait until that time. But Minister Laing, and I still say minister, right? Mr. Laing, coming back to you now, are we ever going to see a Bahamas again when you have a two-term government? And is that something that the people should be looking forward to, or should governments come in and get everything they need to get done in 5 years with the understanding that it is very likely that the Bahamian people will vote them out the next time?
No, it is possible to have 2 terms, even 3 terms. It's possible, but you have got to do things that endear you to a majority of voters going into the next election. The contract is 5 years. Renewal requires impressing the majority of voters. And sometimes I think what happens with our leadership, and this is something that every incoming prime minister needs to understand. You need to evaluate why you won. Because sometimes if you ascribe your victory to your personal attributes, to your personal efforts, and not recognize the anger people had for the people they voted out, because sometimes that's the stronger message than the message of voting in, you then don't pivot toward, I have got to satisfy these people about my performance above and beyond their anger about somebody that was in office. And I think some of that was clearly at play in this election, that there was great disaffection, especially among FNMs, who rather than vote against their party, decided, you know what, I'm just going to sit this one out. And quite frankly, the pandemic gives me a good excuse to do it because I'm not feeling safe. So we don't have the numbers yet, but that voter turnout largely reflected a lack of motivation on the part of all voters on all sides, but in particular the Free National Movement. And a great deal of that is related to their affection for or disaffection toward the leadership of the party at this time.
Mr. Laing, I have to agree with you. I knew several Free National Movement supporters who stayed home yesterday. And, you know, when you see your party, and I think PLPs did the same with Christie in the previous election, and your base has got to turn out. And I think that's a resounding message from this. Dr. Curry, I think the other resounding message is seeing those independent candidates. We saw the COI really take even more votes than the DNA. Lots of people buying into the message from Lincoln being around natural resources, around wanting $100,000 themselves. What do we say looks like the future of politics, especially as it pertains to the independent vote moving forward?
Listen, independents don't do well in our two-party system. Let's be honest. The last time an independent won in a general election was 2002, and there you had 4 independents win. It was because the FNM did not contest those seats. We had Shirley with Pierre Depute, you had Larry Cartwright in Long Island, Whitney Bastian in South Andros, and you had Tennyson Wells in Bamboo Town. So for an independent to win, the stars have to align. You have to have one of the 2 legacy parties not contesting that particular constituency where the independent is running, as we saw in 2002. Now we're almost 20 years later, and we have not seen an independent win. Now Marco Pine was close, but ultimately Ginger Moxie for the PLP was able to pull that out, and that actually should be considered because remember the FNM won 3 of the 5 seats in the general election yesterday. But the independent, who people were touting as possibly an upset or a win, did not make it. So I think that's very telling. As it relates to the other parties, we have a long way to go because a lot of these parties are cannibalizing from within. There's too much fractious politics. There were groups that were trying to align themselves even up to nomination day. A new party seemed to form right on nomination day. I think for a third party to do something in an election, there has to be a more serious coalition formed. Right now, they're just cannibalizing and creating more fracturing within the political system.
If I might start, I think that we have got to confront a more universal reality about third parties. If you look at nations around the world that have democratic systems, they tend to galvanize around 2 parties, 2 major parties. You may have a coalition here and there, but there's a fundamental reason for that. And that is people try to get angry at the parties. No, you get angry at the voters because the voters tend to believe that ideology, philosophy, and preference seems to be anchored in 2 competing sides and they choose them. And that's very difficult to combat. It is a fact of universal democratic history across the planet.
I received that, Mr. Laing, and I am with you. I take a look at the number of our population, and I am so proud of third parties. I think we felt them vote, certainly in the last election, where they significantly pulled from the former prime minister's seat, and he lost that. And certainly in this election, where we see them again in areas like Mount Moriah, pulling that. And so certainly they have a place, but whether or not we'll actually ever see them take a seat is an absolutely different story. Gentlemen, I'm just getting started with questions, but they're telling me my time is up. And so I hope that you can join us again. I'm probably going to lobby for you guys to be back Monday because we have real issues to face now. This pandemic, the economics of it all, how do we move forward is the real question I want to ask. And so I hope that you'll join us again. But thank you for your analysis about last night. And we do look forward to hearing more commentary from you in the weeks and months to come. Thanks for joining us this morning on Bahamas at Sunrise.
My pleasure.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
First, it's more than just our name, more than just our achievements. It's our nature, and it's where we put our customers. At Bahamas First, we've refreshed our look, but our nature remains the same. We design insurance solutions that protect our customers from life's uncertainties, whatever they may be. We equip you for the future so that you can recover stronger. Bahamas First, what's first for you comes first for us.
Health is the greatest gift. That's where we come in. Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies is a premier distributor of medical equipment, as well as medical and surgical consumables. Our engineers are always on hand, providing top care service that saves lives. We carry a wide selection of over-the-counter and prescription items, IV fluids, and other injections. Our products are state-of-the-art, and our entire team stays on top of cutting-edge technology. With more than 2 decades of dedicated service, Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies continues to be a trendsetter and innovator in healthcare. We have set ourselves apart by truly caring for our customers. We understand the intricacies of healthcare, and we produce spectacular results. We cherish our partnerships and nurture our friendships as we continue on our quest to help everyone maintain that wonderful gift of good health. Find us on 9th Fifth Terrace, Centerville, right in the heart of the medical service epicenter of Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to the show. In our Focus on Education segment today, we are going to find out about the virtual school platform and the technology integration that was required to make learning online more effective. Joining us this morning on Bahamas at Sunrise are Samantha Wilson, Education Officer, Technology Integration, and Lamont Gray, Principal of the virtual school. Good morning, Samantha. Good morning, Lamont. Welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good morning. So listen, what is the work, Lamont, of the virtual school, and how does it support teaching and learning throughout the entire Commonwealth?
Well, the virtual school was established in 2019 prior to Hurricane Dorian, right before Hurricane Dorian, actually. And it so happened that we were in place to offer that remote learning for students who were affected by the passing of that storm. But the purpose of the virtual school is to provide instruction virtually to all of our family island schools where we don't have certain teachers in place. So to help with teacher shortages on various family islands. So we reach out to students in Abaco, students in Grand Bahama, students in Maguana, Cat Island, Auckland, Crooked Island, and we provide instructions in subject areas like maths and science and language where they may not necessarily have a physical teacher on the ground. Those students can log in remotely, virtually, and receive instruction and not be at a disadvantage.
Samantha, I think I remember exactly what Lamont is talking about in terms of 2019. I think you guys would have come on the show and spoken to this was about to happen. But then, of course, Dorian came and everybody's like, let's go, right? Particularly for those islands. And then COVID, of course, forced us all to move the whole country to a virtual learning environment. Tell us about how the ministry has made this full transition.
Well, as Lamont would have said, I think too, because of the work that we did with the virtual school that allowed us to be prepared for Dorian, then Dorian allowed us to be prepared for the pandemic of COVID-19 when it came around in March. And it was not an easy transition in terms of technically when you had to consider now syncing all of the 171 schools around the country and getting all of our students, all of our teachers, and especially with all of the, I want to say, the anxiety inside the society. Also, now introducing this new norm of learning, it was not an easy transition. This new school year, however, it's almost regular, a bit more normal. And we found that the transition into this brand new school year was a bit easier for all of our stakeholders. We still have some anxiety, we still have some different challenges around connectivity and students getting in, but the transition itself was much better this year.
Yeah, and when you say much better or it's been easier, it certainly hasn't been without its challenges. What continue to be some of the hiccups that you're seeing and trying to overcome? Samantha?
Okay, so definitely when we look at it from a national standpoint, right, you have so many different factors. One of the first things persons automatically run to when they consider challenges when it comes to virtual instruction is access to devices and internet. So that's one thing. And then there, when you look at teacher preparedness and teacher willingness and teacher capacity and competency in terms of delivering in the online environment. But one of the key things to like tying all of this together is that partnership with parents and getting parents to see their now shared or more responsibility in the education of their students, because we could do everything. We can provide the devices, even give internet. We can make, the teachers can be fully prepared, but one of the things that we cannot do is reach within that screen and pull that child into class and making sure that they actually attend. So even for the entire national program, where it may still be fairly new for some persons, we have a struggle, I should say, as a challenge with that partnership, getting parents involved and making sure that their children are in. And even with the virtual school, who's actually a smaller group in terms of a targeted group. Mr. I'll tell you, last year when we started off, when the children were actually in the physical environment in terms of the school, but logging into us, we had, because the teachers were supervising the students or persons on the ground were supervised, you had more engagement. Now that the children are home, we find that, we are fighting really hard to get the children on, then get the children involved inside the virtual. But it's a continuous, process in terms of understanding how the students are feeling on the other end and adjusting and trying to reach them as best as we can.
Yeah. It's certainly been on fast forward the last 2 years or so. I think it's just a little over 2 years now, Lamont. But what benefits do you see from virtual instruction going forward? I mean, even beyond the pandemic, I mean, only God knows when this is going to end. But I believe that this is kind of here to stay, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's here to stay. And out of the bat, like one of the benefits we're seeing is that we're having a lot of success with our family adding students in the national exams. This past year was really encouraging for us at the virtual school because we got a lot of A passes, a lot of B passes, in some subject areas where, like I said before, the students would not have had an opportunity to take those subjects. So it's really going to help make a difference for the students on the family islands who need to access tertiary education, whether it's here or abroad. It's giving them exposure to different disciplines that they may not necessarily have. Like this year, we are pushing forward with our music and art program. So you can imagine the kids are learning how to play the piano virtually from a music instructor at the virtual school, or how to move their pen strokes or art brush strokes with the art teacher at the virtual school. And without that in place, they would have been probably just outside playing P. Not saying that something is wrong with P, but you understand like
I want to just add to that too. The good thing too that this virtual environment brings for us is that flexibility in learning. It kind of breaks down that 9 to 3 wall where learning only happens between 9 to 3. Now with the various learning platforms, students have access to content and resources 24/7. And when we consider lifelong learning, how we can even provide these resources to the wider community. Maybe you may want to take a high school course in civics, you want to take the high school civics course, eventually you'll be able to log in and follow the curriculum and do the activities, because whether it's for general knowledge or for whatever reason you want to do it. But this now provides an opportunity to stretch our fingers out in the community more.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly, I was going to ask you, well, how do you grow this? How do you expand this? You can now move into different types of training, not just with, the learners that we consider our children, but even ourselves, and move into certifications and licenses. I guess the sky could be the limit, Lamont.
Correct. It is, definitely.
All right. Listen, thank you so much for being here on Bahamas at Sunrise. Samantha Wilson, Education Officer, Technology Integration, and Lamont Gray, Principal of the Virtual School. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jazriel Thompson.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bonham.
Hi, I'm Dr. Therese Nairn-Knowles. I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
And I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
I'm fully vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus. Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
Our world has changed. Many businesses have been closed for months with little or no access to their customers until now. Rev Media can help you remain connected to your customers. Our trusted customized advertising packages and personalized consultants will provide your business with immeasurable support during this challenging time. Your customers are already watching. Rev Media can help you to remain connected. Call us today. Let us help you.
Partner up with the Bahamas as we recreate our islands in the form of a pavilion, showcasing everything our country has to offer, from culinary arts and storytelling to business investments and sustainability. Connect with the world, tell our country's story, explore our future possibilities, and help us transform the Bahamas.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise at this halfway point on this brand new day. I'm Anastasia Palacios.
And I'm Philip Simon Starr. We could spend the entire show, particularly this morning, talking politics. We just don't have enough time, but a really, really great chat just now with Minister Laing. I still call him Minister Laing too. And of course, Dr. Curry.
Yeah, and I said to them, I hope they'll come back even as early as Monday, just because, we talked about last night and what the results looked like as a result of this 2021 general election, but there's just so much more to uncover, right? The way forward, the transition, like even from just an understanding perspective how government works, what happens now? What do we call Philip Brave Davis? What do we call Hubert Minnis? That just some technical things that I wish we had more of a chance to discuss. And so we'll see whether or not the producers hear that call, but definitely a great conversation and a great one with the Ministry of Education, Phil. And I think it's important to see that dynamic, that even as a minister may change or a government changes, the work continues. And so these teachers are doing their part. The Ministry of Education is continuing to roll no matter who sits in that seat. And so great to see on one hand, this transition of government, and on the other, the fact that the people are still making it run. And I hope it's a reminder to us that we still have to do our work.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Life goes on. It's a new day today. And you know what? There'll be a new day tomorrow as well. But anyway, we've got more to go in the second half of our show. We'll talk with some of the speakers from the upcoming webinar, Demystifying COVID.
Looking forward to that. We're also going to check in with the Golf Pro at Albany about choosing the correct golf clubs for your best game. But now let's take a second look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us.
Thank you, Star, and good morning, Bahamas. In your second look at weather sunrise, we take our tropical weather outlook, and we have 3 systems set for your monitoring. This morning, we have a broad area of low pressure associated with a tropical wave located several hundred miles west-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. This system has a 70% chance of tropical cyclone formation over the next 5 days. Then we have a broad area of low pressure a couple hundred miles east of North Carolina. This system has a 70% chance of tropical cyclone formation over the next 5 days. And then we have a tropical wave just offshore the west coast of Africa, has a low chance, 20% chance of tropical cyclone formation over the next 5 days. Elsewhere, tropical storm formation expected during the next 5 days. And local scene, weak high pressure across the island. We still have some stringing moisture that will continue to trigger off pockets of showers and thunderstorms across the islands, mainly during the afternoon hours. In your marine forecast, winds today southeast to south at 10 knots or less, seas less than 3 feet over the northwest Bahamas. East to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Saturday, those winds easterly at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over all the islands, and they will continue on Saturday easterly at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet. Your tides. You can expect a low tide at 11:40 this morning. Next high tide will be at 6:03 this evening. Low again tomorrow morning at 31 minutes past midnight. Sunset 7:09 this evening. Rises more at 6:57. UV index 9. Your water temperature 83 degrees Fahrenheit. And your moon phase moving towards a full moon. External look, weak high pressure will continue to be the dominant feature. So we're looking at partly sunny skies into Sunday. But by Sunday night into Monday, we expect some increasing cloudiness, showers, and thunderstorms across the islands. The low temperature daytime will be in the upper 80s to low 90s daytime and the mid-70s at nighttime. That puts you on the final look at weather at sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Star.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Drivers, putters, 3, 4, and 5 irons. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you are not alone. We're talking about selecting golf clubs today, and we're going to be giving you all the information you need to know to choose the best set for your game. Very happy to be talking with Keno Turnquest. He's the head golf professional at Albany and the treasurer of the Bahamas Professional Golfers Association. Good morning, Mr. Turnquest, and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. Good morning, Star.
An absolute pleasure to be here with you. It is a beautiful day on the Albany Golf Course, and of course we've got a full set of clubs in front of us, and you're going to be guiding me through this process today. So thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Yeah. Now I want to learn about you first. I always find it very interesting when we get to talk to people who have turned golfing into something professional. And apparently this is like a certified thing. So this is not just somebody saying, I'm going pro. This is someone who actually does what it takes to become certified in this. So talk me through your journey in golf.
So there's 2 avenues to golf. There's one, obviously, there's a playing side, which you don't really have to get certified for. If you're good enough and you play well enough, then you make it to the professional tour. And then you have the working side of golf, which requires a lot more training. So there's marketing, club repair, club fitting, the pro shop, tournaments, golf directing. There's a whole behind the scenes that people don't get to see. So I took 3 years to get my professional certification. There is no shortcut. It's a 3-year program, and there's no way to finish it quickly, which entail all of those aspects I just named.
Okay, all right, so that's exciting. But I don't know if you just woke up one day and said, you know what?
I'm going to be a golf professional. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to direct these awesome tournaments that we have here at Albany. I'm going to just turn this into a life. When did you start playing golf, or what made you fall in love with the game?
I started playing from a child. I mean, as long as I can remember, I've been swinging a golf club. I started playing with my dad. You know, kids want to follow their parents out, so I wanted to follow my dad around, and he played golf a lot at the time, and I sort of just fell into it.
Okay. Did you play in college as well?
Yeah, I played college golf for a few years, and I even tried to play professionally for a short period, less than a year, but yeah.
Awesome, awesome. It reminds me that there are just so many more avenues for us to explore, so many non-traditional tracks for careers, and so I'm always happy to know that we're bringing people like you to Bahamas at Sunrise, hoping that kids will be able to see it and get excited about their futures as well, doing something as exciting as golf. Now, in addition to being a golfer, this man has spent 3 years learning to be a pro at making sure that everybody else could do well at golf, including people like me who are novices. And so you learned about clubs in that process. I want to know, what are graphite or steel shafts, and which one is better?
So it's not that one's better than the other. So a graphite shaft it's made up of fibers that they piece together, and they wound it in certain ways to give you different strengths. And then you have steel shafts, which are all made out of obviously steel, with a chrome finish to keep it from rusting. And they both, currently technology is so good, it really does not matter. They have graphite shafts that are just as strong as steel. Normally, steel is used when if you think you're strong enough and you need shafts that won't react like normal or react to your strength, then you would get a steel shaft that allow you to swing harder. Graphite shaft, you can get it as flexible as you like or as stiff as you like for the stronger player.
Does it mean that maybe on certain holes or based on where you've originally hit the ball, you might switch up and determine that I want to steel for this round or graphite for this round, or do people tend to have a favorite and they stick with it?
Right, you just have one type and you stick with it. So the normal set these days have, your woods would normally have graphite shafts. Okay. Your irons would normally have steel shafts, but you can have all graphite or all steel. It doesn't matter anymore. Okay.
But it's a big bag, lots of clubs. Correct. Why we have all the clubs?
Good question. So in golf, you never know where you're going to end up. And unlike most sports where a tennis court is a set size, a basketball court is a set size, golf, there's thousands of golf courses around the world, and each of them gives you a different challenge, a different test. So you can't use the same club to get from here to 10 feet away from you and try and use that exact same club to get from here 200 yards away from you. So these clubs allow you to swing the same speed, the same way, but yet get a different distance. Okay. So they're different lofts, as they call them. So yeah, so that's why we have so many clubs.
All right, and these are the ones that are the individual drivers, putters, and wedges, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then based on where I'm at, based on what I'm swinging, and where I'm trying to get my ball to go, I will make that decision.
Correct, you will make that decision.
Golf Pro may be coming. Golf Pro may be coming for me. All right, the final question I have to ask you before you actually show us these items, is there a difference between what men play with and women play with? Like, my husband's got a set of golf clubs that he's not been using, folks. And I wondered, can I just take his clubs out and play with them myself?
No. So think of a set of clubs like clothing, right? Not saying you can't wear women's clothes, but men should stick to men's apparel, women should stick to women's apparel. And also, when you do pick let's say even in whatever you like, let's say if I picked a suit, I wouldn't walk in the store and say, hey, I like that suit, give me it. I need to find out if it fits me. Is it long enough? Is it my trim? There's a lot of different things that a suit can be tailored to. Same thing with a set of golf clubs. You can have a set of golf clubs tailored to yourself. And if you wear the wrong suit, it would look funny to the rest of the world. Same thing if you use a set of golf clubs. It mightn't look funny to the rest of the world, but it won't fit you. So you won't be able to play golf as well as you would like. So it's more of a personal thing than anything.
I'm going to leave the man's clubs alone. I received that, Keno. All right, so we're going to just take a pause now so that you can actually show us what these clubs look like, walk us through them, and give me some demonstrations of how they work.
So what we have here, these are blades. So you have two types of clubs. You have cavity backs, which these are not. Cavity backs are more forgiving, so it's more for a amateur player or beginner. And then these are called blades, so they're not as forgiving, so if you don't hit them out the center, they don't go as far, they don't feel as good, they're shocking in the hands or whatnot. So these would be for a better player, per se. These are sand wedges, which have a lot more loft. They help you to get the ball up in the air, and they don't travel as far as most clubs do. Golf is strange because we have a regular set has 14 clubs in it. So you tend to have a driver, 3-wood, a putter, 2 wedges, some have 3, and then your set of irons, which are normally pitch and wedge to 3-iron or pitch and wedge to 4-iron. The 4-iron, as you can imagine, goes, most people think it's a shorter club, but actually goes the longest. So the lower the number, the longer the ball goes. Okay. So for the driver, this is when you have a long way to go. Okay. You put it on a tee, and you hit it.
So you always, well, not always, but like say you're starting a round of golf.
Correct.
In this instance, you'd use the driver.
Correct. There's an 80% chance you're going to use the driver off the first tee. Okay. And most golf courses, you will hit the driver, unless it's a short course, you'll hit the driver most of the time off the tee. Okay. And you can hit any club off the tee you want, it's just not beneficial to you. Because if you have a long way to go, the driver, if you swing it properly, goes the furthest. Okay. Right? So you won't take a wedge off a tee because you'll only hit it about 100 yards as opposed to a driver, you get it about 250, 300.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, and then you said sand wedge, so I'm assuming some courses have positions where the ball end up in a funny space, like right over there.
Like right there, correct.
And so I want to make sure that I get that up off of there and get it to the hole. This is when I'd pull up my sand wedge.
Correct. You pull a sand wedge. Normally around the greens, inside 100 yards is when you would pull out a sand wedge. Or if you're right off the edge of the green, then you would want to get the ball up in the air most of the time or get it to sit soft. You would use the sand wedge for the shorter distances.
All right. So I don't know how y'all feel about seeing a sand wedge, but I think that's something I would like to see. So are you willing to take us down there and let's take a look and see how that works?
Yeah, of course. So let me just grab a golf ball. All right, so we've moved down here in the bunker, and I'm about to show you why you'd hit a sand wedge over a 4-iron in the sand trap. So if you look here, you'll notice the sand wedge has a lot more loft on it than the 4-iron. For me to hit the 4-iron out of this trap and stop it on the green, which only has about 10 feet between myself, the edge of the green and the flag, would take a miracle, right? So if I wanted to go, well over the green, it would be fine. But I'm trying to land it next to the flag. So the sand wedge would allow me to get the ball up in the air very quickly, land it on the green softly, and hopefully release out to the flag.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, Star, if you could just hold that 4-iron for me. I'll demonstrate with the sand wedge, because it's a lot easier. So with the sand wedge, I'm going to bury my feet in the sand, obviously get a solid base. Notice I don't have the club square now, as what they call square. I open the club face a touch. I cannot do that with the 4-iron. If I did, the club face would basically turn into a butter knife. Right? So I'd open the sand wedge, and then from here, I just swing and blast it out the bunker, and you can land it on the green nice and soft. All right, good.
That makes a difference.
Correct. With the 4-iron, that shot would be impossible that I just executed.
I think that's the message we're going to take home today, that you've got to use the right tool in golf and in life. Keno, thank you so much for talking to us here on Bahamas at Sunrise and for your work with the Golf Association. It's been a real pleasure to just bring more of your stories to the forefront so that more Bahamians can see that we've got amazingly talented golfers here in the Bahamas as well. Thanks for having us.
No, thanks for coming, and I appreciate it.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. Don't use the wrong tool. We'll be right back.
Doctors Hospital is proud to introduce the Loyalty Advantage Membership Program, or LAMP. LAMP offers medical service discounts to new and existing Doctors Hospital patients. With membership starting as low as $20 per month, LAMP benefits include fee waivers for insured patients, discounts on inpatient and outpatient services, access to free imaging services, and much more. For a full list of benefits or to sign up for LAMP, visit doctorshos.com/LAMP. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth?
Have you heard about Trinity Christian Schools?
We are a family school located on Trinity Way, Stapleton Gardens. We offer quality Christian education from preschool to grade 6. Here are the reasons why you should choose Trinity Christian Schools.
We offer quality Christian education.
We are a family school.
Our teachers provide individual support.
Our class sizes are small.
We offer a safe and happy environment.
Our teachers are caring and experienced.
Join the Trinity family.
We want you to be a part of the Trinity Christian Schools.
Come join us.
We want you to be a part of our family.
Welcome back to the show. The upcoming webinar, Demystifying COVID, will debunk some myths, answer the tough questions, and cut through the confusion surrounding COVID-19. Two of Monday's participants are joining us this morning. They are Dion Miller, he's the chairman of the JCNP, and Stafford Armbrister, Commodore Bahamas Boat Owners Sailors Association. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning, Bahamas.
Good morning, and thank you. Good morning. We are talking about demystifying COVID this morning. And of course, there's a webinar aimed at reaching all communities with sound facts on COVID this coming Monday. So what are some of the concerns and questions and even the myths that you have been hearing in your respective communities relative to this pandemic and this virus that just doesn't seem to want to go away? Let's start with you, Dion.
I think for the Junkanoo community, there are several questions on Ms. Numas that we would like to finally get some sort of advice and resolution on. I know a lot of Junkanoos are concerned that if you get the vaccine, there's been rumors that you will become impotent and all sorts of effects. There's weird, crazy right-wing theories that it's a chip and that this is some kind of experiment. And so there's a lot of potent questions that the Junkanoo community has. The Junkanoo community has suffered so much loss during this time that is really unbelievable. Yeah. On a weekly basis, I have to send out memorials or death notices to Junkanoos and past Junkanoos who have passed away and lost their battle due to the COVID. And what we're seeing now is that in the early stages, it was kind of defined to the elder portion of the Junkanoo community, but now young, strong, healthy Bahamians and Junkanoos are being affected and taken away. And so we want to know what exactly do we need to do to get back to doing what we love to do, that is celebrating on Bay Street and partaking in our culture. And so I'm encouraging all Junkanoos, all Bahamians alike, to come in, pay attention, be a part of the webinar. I've already petitioned Junkanoos to submit questions to myself so I can ask the panel and to get the answers and hopefully work to beat this deadly pandemic.
Yeah, no doubt. Stafford, do you hear some of the same things in the spheres that you work and operate in? And certainly that first concern that Dion mentioned is that's a very powerful one. But what have you been hearing on your end?
Well, we share most of the sentiments that he's already mentioned. And in sailing, one of our major problems are the closeness, being together while you're there on the boat. Yeah. And the authorities were they are mostly concerned about the regatta itself, not really only the sailing. Okay. Because most of the guys, they heading towards getting the vaccine. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting the COVID, and it doesn't stop you from passing it on. So our sport is different from a lot of other sports because it's so like in the gym. But Junkanoo is something like us, but we are still a little wider because in the gyms you can space your people out.
Right.
On the beach, like Monaco, for instance, you can't space people out. And so that's very difficult to control. Our problem has been when we approached the authorities, the PM had told us, well, we didn't have any problem with the sailing, but it's just that the health authority would have to look at how we deal with the regatta itself on the beach. That is our concern.
Yeah. Do you think there's been enough relevant, relatable data out there? I mean, of course, this is probably one of the reasons why we're having the doctors doing the webinar on Monday, but certainly, do you think there's been enough information, generally speaking, out there relative to COVID-19?
I think, sorry.
I think there has been sufficient for us to go by, but with a lot of us as Bahamians, we like to listen to the secondhand information because we don't always go and get it from the horse's mouth. And a lot of people doesn't read upon things and follow it up, because you said Bahamians, if you want to hide something from them, put it in the book. And if it is not spoken outrightly, we hardly know. And when we try to get it across to the relevant persons, just a handful of them are interested.
Yeah, and I share the same sentiment. I think initially what the approach, what the government should have done was to invite the different communities and different segments of society to some informational sessions. I know I've been trying to get a Junkanoo COVID session, but was unable to successfully get one completed. So I think the government and the powers that be should have could have done a better job of going directly to the people and spread the information. And then again, I think the means that the information is being spread has to be elevated as well. There should have been a greater social media presence. Most persons don't use traditional means to get information any longer, so they're not watching the television shows and the reading the newspapers. They get a lot of their information from their mobile devices and social media. And so I think a campaign should have been tailor-made for the different communities to get the information out there directly to the people, and using persons who the different communities could identify with to assist and encourage persons to do what they need to do.
Yeah, and that sounds like exactly what's going to be happening this coming Monday. Mr. Armbrister, what are your expectations?
My crew from the sailing aspect of it, they are very much interested in sailing, because we are losing a lot of funds from our boats, just on the beach sitting there or rotting and all of that. So they're very much concerned moving forward. When are we going to get back into the water? When are we going to get back into sailing? So we would be receiving a lot of questionnaire from most of the, we'd be looking at all of the islands, basically Long Island, Exuma, Andros, and Grand Bahama, for that reason. Just to mention a few. We'll be becoming a lot of questions as to what we are going to do moving forward. And I share the sentiments that Miller mentioned a while ago about setting up forums where persons can dialogue. When you dialogue, I think you get better results, and I think that's what is need to be done.
Yeah, definitely. Any final words, Dion?
I just want to encourage all Junkanoos, all Bahamians alike, to tune into the webinar, listen and get the relevant information, participate, ask questions. But I'm excited to be a part of it and to represent the Junkanoo community. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to an excellent show.
All right, thank you so much. That's Dion Miller, chairman of the JCNP and Stafford Armbrister, Commodore of the Bahamas Boat Owners Sailors Association. So that is the Demystifying COVID free webinar happening on Monday, September 20th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The registration information should be on your screen, or you can check it out on TCL Facebook page. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
The sports we play depend on the health we build. So let's stay healthy. Wear a mask and practice social distancing and hand washing to protect yourself and others. Remember, COVID-19 is not a game.
A public service message from the Bahamas Olympic Committee.
One thing, two things, blue thing, all things, things that are small, things that are grand, things that fit just right, and in the palm of your hand. Fox Hill Nursery, a large selection of garden supplies. If you can see it in your mind, you can find it at Fox Hill Nursery.
Well, that's going to do it for us, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Bahamas at Sunrise. We wish you all the best, whether you are celebrating a new day or need to take a couple days in bed. I'm certainly looking forward to continuing the show, and we'll be back with more on Monday.
No doubt, no doubt. Have a safe weekend, guys. Bye.